Safe, tough and fun. That's what Subaru should be like, according to customers. This is the Solterra, Subaru's first EV. How much Subaru is left in it? Let's find out.
The name Solterra is a combination of two Latin words, sol, sun, and terra, earth. They are meant to emphasize Subaru's commitment to delivering traditional SUV qualities in responsible and environmentally friendly manner. If you're not dead of boredom yet, I'll add that the Solterra was developed in cooperation with Toyota and looks similar to the Bz4x. These cars are being developed on the e-TNGA platform along with the recently launched Lexus RZ and the soon-to-be-released Toyota Bz4x. Solterra's size is hard to judge just by looking at it. I expected something the size of maybe Toyota CHR, but the Solterra is not only bigger than the RAV4, but even larger than the Forester. Among EVs, it's closest to the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Tesla Model Y.
How does the Subaru differ from Toyota Bz4x? Where the Subaru's front end is concave, Toyota's is convex. Subaru has C-shaped daytime running lights, while Toyota has two lines or brows. The Subaru also has fog lights, which Toyota does not have. The Subaru's recuperation can be controlled by steering wheel mounted paddles, in addition to S-pedal drive, one-pedal driving mode, while the Toyota only has B-mode, one-pedal driving. The Subaru has three driving modes, normal, eco and power, while Toyota only has normal and eco. The Solterra suspension is apparently firmer and the steering is heavier than in the Toyota. And Subaru is offered in Europe only with all-wheel drive, while Toyota offers a front-wheel drive version as well. In addition, Subaru has permanent all-wheel drive, while Toyota does not. So, with 21 centimeters ground clearance, the Solterra should easily handle some basic off-roading, which is what I wanted to test out, but I ended up in a bit of a pickle.
I know conditions change, and just because I drove up here, not only in a Land Rover Defender, but also in a Nissan X-Trail, and even in my Mini Countryman, albeit burly, doesn't mean that a few weeks later the sand won't be more loose as others drive here and as it gets warmer and drier. But while in the aforementioned cars I could feel what was happening to the car and I could react modulating acceleration, the Solterra lacks feedback in the form of engine sound or resistance. I don't know what's happening with the wheels when I press the accelerator pedal. The press videos look promising, but in reality the car stopped before reaching the peak and immediately sat on its belly. I tried getting branches under the wheels, but that didn't help. I called for rescue and fortunately it was enough to pull the car a meter or so back, and then it managed the rest on its own. Of course, a few months ago I drove a Solterra on a specially prepared off-road track, and there, on harder surface, the Subaru coped perfectly. But I have a feeling that on the same track most cars with some sort of all-wheel drive would do just fine. It looks impressive, but says little about the car's true off-road ability. Or about the driver's lack of abilities, which shouldn't be ruled out either. Freed from the sand trap, I went to see how the Solterra would handle my diagonal approach test. I stop halfway, so that two wheels on the opposite corners of the vehicle have limited grip, and then I try to get going again. First approach is in normal mode. Noticeable wheel slip, but the car gets going without much problem. Second approach is in snow dirt mode. Here, for some reason, the car rolls back slightly. From behind the wheel, I could feel this is not the best mode for this exercise. The third approach is in deep snow mud mode. Here the slip is minimal and the car climbs with ease. So let's say that on a road with some grip the Solterra will cope fine and take you silently to your camping spot or vacation home. I'm not concerned about the last mile on a forest road, but the problem may be getting to the forest road.
Because although Subaru claims a range of up to 466 kilometers for the basic comfort trim, that's assuming you don't use air conditioning. And this time I'm absolutely serious. Turning on air conditioning instantly reduces estimated range not by a few kilometers, as it is the case in many electric cars, but by a few dozen, depending on whether you use air conditioning in normal or eco mode. So, from 466 kilometers, you're down to under 400 kilometers, and that's before we get to speed and weather. Now, during my test, I drove on various roads, and the outside temperature was around 10 degrees Celsius, 14 even at the moment. Energy consumption was anywhere between 19 and 30 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which with a 71 kilowatt hour battery means a range of between 370 and 240 kilometers. Long-term energy consumption is visible only on the screen here, on the central display. The designers, and I don't know who on the team was from Subaru and who was from Toyota, decided that the display in front of the driver will only show the range, no battery charge, state of charge percentage though, and the average consumption is only for this trip, literally since the last time you press the start button. In many cars, the trip includes stops for up to several hours, but here it resets every time you turn the car off.
The designers also decided that the driver assistance systems would be controlled from a small display in front of the driver rather than from a large central display where it might not be necessary to abbreviate the names of those systems. The central display is mainly navigation, which is useless from the point of view of an electric car. For example, you have to look for chargers manually, and the information about them is written in engineering style, meaning that a normal user looking for something like maybe charging power expressed in kilowatts won't understand what's going on. Planning a longer trip? The system is very optimistic with its range prediction, so you'll probably only find out you need to charge when it may already be too late.
But let's say you're not buying a Solterra to drive it to your summer home because you're already living somewhere relatively picturesque and remote and you charge at home. The Solterra should be enough to get you to the nearest town where you can recharge while getting your groceries. Speaking of charging, the Solterra takes up to 150 kilowatts from a DC charger, while the onboard AC charger accepts up to 7 kilowatts. And while you're charging, the only information you get on the inside of the car is the time when charging will be complete. No charging speed, no state of charge percentage. I mean, why would you need data like this at all, right?
The Solterra is packed with driver assistance systems, which, except for one, work well. There's a camera mounted on the steering column that monitors the driver's attention. The system often loses the driver's face, like during maneuvers that require turning the steering wheel all the way around, or when the driver checks the car's surroundings and looks over their shoulder or out of the car's side window. You know, that's what you usually do when at an intersection.
Now, as soon as the system recognizes that the driver is not focusing on the road, which theoretically is reasonable, there's an audible warning, and I understand what the engineers wanted to achieve, but in my opinion, they got it a bit wrong.
Visibility is not bad for a crossover. Otherwise, the Solterra is as meh to drive as most Toyota and Subaru products in recent years. No, that's not fair to Subaru. The Solterra is the worst Subaru in terms of driving engagement. and 0 to 100 km per hour in 6.9 seconds doesn't make it any more interesting. All EVs do that, and that's the one thing they don't need to do. The Solterra has 218 horsepower from 2 electric motors. The car weighs just over 2 tons and can tow up to 750 kilograms.
If the cockpit layout looks familiar to you, it's because Peugeot pioneered it more than a decade ago. I'm talking about the instrument cluster above the steering wheel so that it's always in the driver's line of sight and no HUD is needed. I get it, it doesn't bother me, but I know some people find it hard to recalibrate their brains, so they raise the steering wheel too high and then it obstructs their view of the instrument cluster. I'm 175 centimeters tall, Anna is 160 centimeters tall, and we both find a comfortable position behind the wheel. The electrically operated driver's seat has 2 memory settings. There is also lumbar support adjustment. Now, the choice of materials in the cabin is puzzling. There is a lot of piano black here on the center console, which will soon get scratched, and the dashboard is covered in rather deeply textured fabric, so I don't want to think about vacuuming it. I imagine it could turn into a nightmare if you're allergic to dust.
Some physical buttons for basic car functions, including temperature, is a relief, although I don't understand why, for example, disabling parking sensors is hidden in the menu on the driver's screen. Especially since the sensors don't turn off when the X mode is engaged. The cup holders are okay, and so are the door pockets. Storage under the armrest is fine, but there is no glove box. There is only a shelf under the center console, featuring 2 USB ports and a 12-volt outlet. And on top is a wireless charger and another USB port necessary if you want to use Android Auto. Toyota's new infotainment system, the same one we've seen in Lexus NX, still does not support wireless Android Auto.
Electric cars have an advantage of a long wheelbase and flat floor. As a result, there is plenty of legroom in the rear, even if sometimes the battery in the floor means that you have to keep your feet higher than you would think looking at the car's outer dimensions. The doors cover the sills. There are adequate door bins, there are air vents, heated seats, USB ports, and an armrest with cup holders. The backrest splits 40-60.
There is no frunk, so everything has to fit in the boot. The boot has about 400 liters capacity above the floor, 440 liters with storage under the floor. The cargo area is 97 centimeters wide at its narrowest point and 99 centimeters long in the 5-seat configuration. Drop the rear seats and you get 200 centimeters long cargo area, so you could theoretically sleep back here. Prices of the Subaru Solterra start at €57,490 for the comfort trim. This is the Platinum Plus for €60,990.
The Subaru Solterra is a dispassionate product created, I suppose, only to appease regulators or shareholders. Hopefully, Subaru's and Toyota's future electrified endeavors will take EV reality into account. For now, what we have is a 2-ton car in which you don't want to chase adventures. Stick to the roads you know, otherwise you may end up with a dead battery. And how do you like the Subaru Solterra? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.